Hello, lads. A nice 5-0 victory to celebrate, a nice 1-1 draw across the other two lads. So let's get into it. How do we find that performance? I quite liked it personally, and we got everyone in the house apart from Z, who we hope is doing well. How are we doing? What are we thinking?
I'm
Amazing,
doing
bro. When you
all
go
good.
5-0, I've been saying for a while on several streams, this team is due a 5-0. And
Mm.
I didn't think it would happen now just because of the home kind of the away record and that dichotomy. I definitely felt the 5-0 would come kind of at home with our fans and wins in our sales. But mate, it always is amazing to start this off. And when you start looking back at the last 5 games now, we've now got a decent sample size that I don't want to hear any more attacking troubles. That's what I don't want to hear from people. I don't want to hear that a midfield pivot doesn't affect your creativity. I don't want to hear those things because you've now got enough of a sample to have a look and be like, okay, between more than 15 shots, more than 2 goals, more than 2 xG, we are deserved winnings. And you're starting to see some of the stats people that said 3 or 4 weeks ago we were horrible attacking wise and just pretty poor in general now switch their tune and be like, "Oh, Arsenal deserve where they are." And yeah, a couple things to discuss. I do think Norwich, to be fair, are poor. I do want to constitute this that I feel like I bag on the team because I did this for Leeds, but there was a lot of issues here about Norwich stupidly not pressing Partey. I don't know why. I mean, Pookie was pressing, at Ramsdale. He was pressing the first phase there, but he wasn't touching Partey. And I have a feeling that's just because of who they had that was out, and they were ravaged by COVID, right? Really why I wanted us to play that game. We kind of lucked out with no Wolves game, right, guys? So, but all in all, 5-0, what's there not to like?
Yeah, for me,
I'm just glad we're not being thrown to the wolves, to be honest. So that's a massive
shut
thing.
up. I liked
In
it.
terms of go on, Sika. I just wanted
I
to get
liked
it
it.
in.
It's
Go
better
on.
than anything. It's better than anything Wenger did away. So
Hmm.
we'll leave it at that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I think it was a
This
great
guy, man.
it was great to do that away. I think it's better for us to get the 5-0 away and get the big goals like exceeding XG because we only really well I say only really, but we created like 2.5 XG again, like in consecutive games. I think that's like five, obviously five in all comps, excluding Sunderland. It's 4 games in a row with more than 15 shots, which we weren't doing before, and is a positivity since Saka and Partey have been back really, and Odegaard's doing his thing. Saka has been on a rampage. Saka has 5 GA, almost more than that, I think, in his last like four
Saka's
games.
been
So
creeping up on people, man. When we were talking off
yeah,
stream and you were telling me
hmm
that it was 9 goals and assists to date for the season, I was like,
yeah,
really? He's kind of
five
crept
goals,
up
four
on
assists.
people. Yeah, and a big thing was look, we'll have a discussion. We got to continue the Odegaard agenda for the views, but Saka has special performance, mate. Like this one for me, shocked to see. Like, look, excellent performance by everybody, but for me, Saka, he took a step up. That shimmy, that second goal was, yeah, I'm here now. You
Yeah,
man, just give me the ball, and I'll just do the rest. That's what that spoke to me because that
mm.
shimmy was dirty.
yeah. Like he's been brewing. Like he's
Mm,
been brewing since Watford. Watford was the first one where I was like, oh, he's coming.
yeah.
Sounds weird, but like he's getting he's getting he's getting into his groove, and now he's finally in his groove. I thought Newcastle would be it, and I said it would be like Newcastle to set him on his way, and he did, but he got injured versus United, so it slowed it down. But for him to be where he is now, like them 2 goals were like a very good ball striking from him. Like it's improving. He's not fully there yet, but it's still improving. Like to finally scored outside the box again, like he was when he first burst into the team, and he's just like got this real energy about him, this arrogance without being arrogant, which
Mm.
is annoying to other defenders, and he's finally hitting back, like because before it's just him getting hit and just going to the ground, not even complaining, but just continuously getting fouled out after foul after foul. But he's finally like I've seen him get a couple fouls the last couple of games, not no yellows, but he's starting to foul back finally and just mark his territory, and it's good. Like we need our best players firing, and everyone's getting goals now.
I
There
think
are
we definitely need like a Saka section because I think there's just some small improvements in some of the skills that I'm seeing with them that's making me think this boy's taking the next step. There's been a lot of talk on Twitter that he's improved his all-around game, but the output hasn't been there. I think that's been the general consensus on Twitter, which I share, but I don't think anyone's actually been talking about his improvement. They've been talking over it in a sense, and I've seen a lot of really big improvements, in terms of his shot striking, but also his ability to receive under pressure has been more, like, not just marginally better, but just immensely important, because he's now receiving and setting in one motion. Before, he used to be able to roll contact amazingly, but you saw it in this game. He receives and sets to the play. So good. And it's the reason he's become so direct. And we did say that if we were going to have any joy in this game, he had to attack Brandon Williams. And, he had a little scuffle. I love it. Ben White beat the soft man allegations once again. That man's posting Instagram photos and loving life, but just all in all, like across the board, I just felt like it was another really good performance. Minimal people really, really struggling. There were a couple stragglers. I still think Granite is working his way back into rhythm. I don't think he was phenomenal. I don't think he was awful, but he was definitely somebody that I felt could up the tempo a little bit in the middle of the park. But other than that, and of course Lacazette did for me struggle. Was industrious, but that guy away is a non-factor, and we just have to kind of get used to that. But look, mate, 5-0. First kind of impressions are like, go on, boys, give me more of that. I can get used to this.
First 5-goal gap since 2009, which is
it's mental, isn't it? Yeah. Well, look,
and that's 4 on the bounce, lads. Because I've said this in previous streams, there hasn't been a team, bar City and Liverpool, to be fair. But I don't think Liverpool have done it this season. But teams that have gone 5 on the bounce in W's, it doesn't happen in this league. So it can't be underestimated, regardless of who you think the opposition are, to do that level of consistency. But also not just consistency, guys. Like we said, 15 shots, over 2 XG in each of those games, over 2 goals in each of those 5 games. This isn't just us winning; it's winning comprehensively.
Yeah.
And to do it 5 in a row, it's worth highlighting.
Well, first thoughts, and then we'll go into the first half, or lineups in first half.
Just efficiency. It was just beautiful to see. We had 6 shots on target, 5 goals. That's our 10th clean sheet Aaron Ramsdale's had of the season. It's absolutely brilliant to see. We're just getting clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet. Yeah. That is what gets you top 4 at the end of the day. It was just, and Saka, I've been speaking about it as well. I kept on saying, I think he's going to get a brace soon. And he's finally got it. And the commentators were saying about Saka, like, you have to show him on the inside. But anything you do is just dangerous, because, okay, the defender shows him on the outside, he goes and he's got better ball striking now, so he's hitting it back bottom corner. Okay, back he goes on, back post cross. Okay, he goes on the outside, he shows him on the outside, he does what he did against Southampton and Tottenham, where he just completely bursts the defender, gets past him, rolls it back into the middle. Lacazette scores, Emmy Smith-Rowe scores. He's done that. Anything you do to this kid on trying to defend him, you just can't do it. He's just a cheat code. It's unreal. So it's just brilliant to see at the end of the day. 5-0, 4-1, 2-0, 3-0. We're really starting to put performances together, and it's brilliant to see. I don't know what's going to happen against City, but we've just got to keep this momentum going.
Right, so that's brilliant, and then we'll get into the lineups in first half.
Oh, sorry, Kern. One last thing. Last narcissism bag, Ben White right back. We've been here. Go on.
I was here in May.
Before we even secured that boy, the first link, we've been here, Ben White right back. And by the way, he had an immense game. I think this was one of his best games in the shirt.
He had a couple bad mistakes, but
do you remember, George, when we before Saliba went, and I was saying to you, it could be the case where we're playing Gabriel White and Saliba all in one team.
Bro. I've been on this train for time about saying
this was when the links came out. This was back in the Euros. I was saying this. So, but yeah,
but I just want to answer this. Leicester won. The game's done. So
it's done.
We're 6 points behind Liverpool and Chelsea.
City win, the title race is over.
The title race is relying on us. Just saying.
But yeah, let's get into the lineups in first half. So, who wants to go first? Lineups.
Oh yeah, I can list them if you guys want. I'm alive and well, so I'll do that. So for us, we've got Ramsdale, KT, Gabriel, Holding, who I thought had an interesting game. Ben White, Granit Xhaka pivot, with Thomas Partey, and then we've got Nelly, Odegaard in the hole, Saka, and then Laka up top. While they had Max Aarons, Kabak, Gibson, Williams, Gilmore, McLean, Sargent on the right, Dowell, and then Paqueta and Pookie up top. So much of what we expected, right, lads? Like I think in midfield they went for a pivot to match us up instead of the three, but bad mistake. But regardless, I think when you looked at it, the big ones for me was Krul missing, which I think we had highlighted as a possibility, right, in the preview. But when you do it, you basically go through the 11 now. You've got no Norman, no Krul, no Solis. Cantwell was probably unfit. He wasn't ready to go and start, so he probably knew he wasn't going to do it. And they had Rashika. So in every final third, and I was cautioning this in the preview, it's kind of why I wanted us to play. They were down worse than we were versus Brentford. So when I looked at the lineup, I'm not going to lie, it was pretty cruel in all aspects. It was like it was, yeah, there you go. I gave it to you. New Year, there you go. That's your Christmas present, Curry. All right. But no, it was bad.
They didn't even have 9 men on the bench. They had 8. They couldn't even do it. 9.
I do want to go to Willow though, because Willow was bang on about Holding starting. So have your moment in the sun, Willow.
Thank you very much,
you did get it right.
I'm here all week.
He's all here all week, people.
And he had a great game as well, didn't he? That cross ball to Martinelli. It was so annoying. Martinelli there pissed me off that he was a bit offside there, because what a ball that was for Ben White over the top. He's got so much in his locker, that guy. Honestly, he gets so much hate still on the timeline. I actually hate to see it, because he does a job anywhere. Honestly, you play him right back, and the guy was like, you think, okay, he's just gonna sit in, he won't go up too much. No, this guy was overlapping. He was doing it all.
Yeah, he was doing it for what's it called? Brighton last season as a right back in that right half space, but even for Leeds, because of the freedom they have, he was allowed to venture up a lot, and he got a couple goals. But he was very good. He has been like a bit more vocal with how he is on socials now, with him posting the pictures of him like standing up against a couple players like Antonio, Rafinha, Williams. Like he's posting this himself, so. It's been a change in how we've played. Like we've got 61% possession against West Ham, not against Southampton, 58 versus West Ham, and then 65 versus Norwich. So we're just dominating in all of these. I think with the lineup, Ben White had to play right back because Cedric, Maitland-Niles, Chambers, and Tommy all had COVID. So it was either Saka right wing back in the 3-4-3 or Tavares or White right back. And White did his job. He's played there before. And I think we don't want him there, but as long as he can do a job there and he performs there, I think it's good for us as a team. Partey, Saka, again, consistency that we lacked in the pivot because it kept changing weekly with either Ainsley, Lokonga, Xhaka, Ainsley. Like it kept changing, but now we have a consistent one and we see what he's doing, especially with both their levels rising a bit. Xhaka still doesn't seem the fittest, but he's looking better as the games go on. And obviously the front four wasn't going to change because when everyone's on phone like that, Arteta won't change. So I wasn't complaining. I was happy with the lineup, apart from one player I'd like to have started, but he wasn't going to start. But yeah,
there is one thing I want to ask, because there is a lot of talk that we played a 4-3-3 yesterday, and I disagree with that. I think we were quite clearly a pivot. It was a 2-3-5 or a 3-2-5, quite clearly. The amount of times I was hearing, Xhaka's in that inside corridor between the touchline and our 9. And I'm just thinking, yeah, because that's kind of how our system works. We play in 5 channels, and I found it a bit weird that there was this clamoring to go, 4-3-3. He's playing a 4-3-3, and it just really wasn't there. The space between Partey and Xhaka was always close. They were never really out. Partey was a bit deeper. Which is interesting. I think this is a new role that he's adapting to. But the fact that we were going, it's a 4-3-3, I don't personally think. What do you guys think? Do you think it was a 4-3-3? I don't personally see it.
No, it wasn't. But Partey has taken progression reins.
Yeah.
More recently, and it's his midfield
roles. I was talking about this with tons of people in group chats. It's the same asymmetrical 3-2-5 or 2-3-5 stuff that we're doing. The only difference is Partey isn't higher up like he was in preseason, and we had a Granite or an Elneny deeper. We've switched that. We've had, Thomas as the 6, and there's been tons of debate about what Thomas Partey is. And the crazy thing is, this is his first good performance as a lone since West Ham, in my opinion. He came back, had a really storming performance today, but in general, he's been pretty poor this season, and we've had him as the progression responsibility in first phase for the most part. But when you look off the ball, it's very clear that Granite and Thomas are a lot closer together. But, in possession, Granite is definitely higher. And they've done that to accommodate Odegaard. So the biggest thing that, I don't think people are realizing is Odegaard naturally is going to drift into the right center mid. So in order to accommodate that space, we can't have Thomas Partey be the one pushing up. So we've switched the dynamics to still be asymmetrical. And so that's why you've got, Partey as the deeper pivot and you've got Saka further up. It's more of just a spacing thing. If you were to basically push Partey higher up and have Granite there, you're going to leave a huge hole in the left half space. And with Martinelli wide, that's suicide. You're going to leave massive spaces in the middle. And so to accommodate that, they've basically pushed Granite up. They've dropped Partey deeper, limited him to his role so that you've got now Tommy and, Odegaard sharing those spaces. If you had Partey up there, it's already a crowded space. It's already limited by the overlap there. That's why we've done what we've done. But it isn't, because I think Mikel feels that's the way forward. It's really more to accommodate an Odegaard form. You can't have all three higher up in that space. So that's really the big difference for me.
Yeah. So for me, you can go back to our 4-2-3 versus 4-3-3. I've always loved a 4-3-3, but this was not a 4-3-3. If you have a 4-3-3, you play quite clearly in a 3-1 build-up or a 2-1 build-up if you're really going for it. There was no sign of that. It was a 3-2 always. And to say, okay, we've changed, the game state has changed and we've blitzed teams and we blitzed Norwich and go into 4-3-3. I just don't agree with that. I don't agree that was how we played. I want to talk about something in the first half in particular. I want to talk about Saka because we did need a Saka segment, and that goal, you know the one I mean. It's that cut inside and just hitting it. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful goal. What do we think about Saka this season and how he's progressing and this game in particular?
I think Saka's so his progression. There's been a lot of people, like I kind of referenced it at the preface, right, where he's improved for everybody despite the lack of real goals and assists, but I don't think anyone's really specified what really his improvement's been. And for me, it's been his receiving under pressure, and it's been his willingness to be direct in every movement that he does. So it's no longer just a case of keeping possession. He's consistently looking forward. But the big thing is when you look at his ball striking now, so me and Chris actually were having like a conversation about this off air. He still struggles on the run to hit the ball. And so what I mean by that is if he's running in space and he's looking to wrap it, so to speak, he does struggle with that technique to put his ball through it. But what he does do really, really well is when he's facing a one-time shot and he's already facing goal, but he also has an ability to dig out from a dead ball kind of situation. And so when you look at his second goal, it's a perfect example of that, where he kills the ball, does a little shimmy, and digs out a beautiful powered shot that's really well placed. And he's excellent in that aspect. He's still working out how to do that on the run. It is a different technique. It is something that I'm not worried about. But for me, he's really excelled at getting rid of his shots quicker, the quick release, but also the quick pass. He's getting rid of the ball a lot quicker. And that's what a lot of these guys that are really excelling in terms of the youngsters are doing. Emile Smith-Rowe, getting shots off early. It's not just that he's shooting more, he's releasing quicker. And it's a little bit of a criticism from who that I think needs to improve, because you start to add those things in the final third. This is where you see the creativity spark. And I think the few times that we've been really explosive in these games is when people have been very quick in releasing. So even when you break down the first goal, I don't want to take away from Saka and the Saka discussion because he's been immense. But when you look at that first goal, that's all Tierney. And I've seen zero praise from it on anybody on the timeline. If you guys actually go back, he wins his ball high up from a very high press on the left wing, then fires it off, into Lacazette, who lays it off to Odegaard, who does have good awareness to pass it to Saka. But Saka's isolated 1v1, and it's all Saka. It's a flowing move, but if you're going to praise Odegaard for the pass, you better praise Laka for the pass. But really, the person that you should be praising is Tierney. Tierney's the one that wins the ball high up the pitch. He squeezes the pitch. He recognizes that he can win that duel. He presses high, makes a gamble, and then fires it in the middle, and boom, we have kind of a 3v2 situation. And look, Saka does brilliantly, puts it through the legs, and he does well to finish there. It is a bit of a scuff shot, I'll be fair, but the shimmy, the ability to open and shift, it puts Brandon Williams kind of on the back foot, on his heels, and that's been the key. And so when we talk about speed, we talk about final action efficiency and these things, it's making sure to release quickly so that you make use of those 1v1s or those 2v1s or those overloads. That's been the biggest difference for me. I still haven't seen the ideal movement that I really want to see. But again, on that first goal, again, like, Daniel, you're saying that Martinelli was involved. Like, he's there. He's there along with Lacazette and Odegaard. But really, it's Kieran. Kieran steps up. He jumps. He sees that. And, by firing it into the middle first time the way he did, that's where you get your overload. And, look, again, Saka does well.
It's the pace. That's what it is.
It's the pace, but also, mate, I just think Kieran had such an underrated game. I was even typing that in group chats.
What a lovely shot, though, from him.
He's had a phenomenal game. We haven't even got to do his goal yet, lads, but, like, towards the end of the half, I don't know. I want to let other people eulogize about Saka and stuff. But for me, biggest thing that I've seen in him is the decision-making has been a lot quicker. He's always been good choosing the right decision. But for me, he hasn't been as direct as he could be. That's been the biggest difference. That means both receiving under pressure. So you receive and set in the same motion as opposed to receiving square. You also make the vertical pass first and first time. That's something I've seen Saka do a lot more. He's looking for a lot more combination play, a lot more. And to do that, you've got to release people quickly. And then lastly, it's his shooting technique. And what we mean by that is his short backlift has been a lot more evident, especially in recent weeks. Me and Chris, we lost it over that kind of dig, post shot, when he did it a couple of weeks back. But even here now, lads, like when you see the shift and shoot, it's not even a particularly powerful, but the shimmy and space that he generates, both in his first goal, but the second goal even worse and more embarrassingly. That's where the goal is made, guys. And it's not the pass from Odegaard or the Laka or these side balls, because Saka still has a lot to do. He is 1v1, and they're actually in a very good position. But Saka doesn't make that matter. So he's now learning that with Jordan rules, I think he's had an ability now to kind of be the making of him. And I think that analogy goes in more ways than one. It was the making of Michael Jordan. I really see it as the making of Bukayo. He's been kicked, beaten, and had to find ways that his mind outmatches the physical gap that he's got. And he's already physically better than a ton of people. But, he's had to use his mind to that benefit. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll give the floor to others to eulogize over Saka. But that boy's, those are the three big things that I've seen different in his game, this season.
Willow, Bukayo Saka, thoughts?
I think people talk about his productivity and what he can do, goals and assists, and I think people are very harsh this season. The guy's already got 5 goals, 5 assists. I know 4 on some things, but the way I do it, I look at my fantasy and stuff like that, and the way they go for goals, if you save it and you get the rebound, he's got 5 goals, 5 assists, and that's what he got last season. And he's done it in 1,200 less minutes. He's already equaled what he's done last season in 1,200 less minutes. This guy is absolutely killing it at the moment. And he's just going to prove it more and more. He has such a hard job to do because people do triple, quadruple up on this guy. And he still gets you end products at the end of it. Is insane. Like I already spoke earlier saying, if you let him go on the outside, he'll get an assist. You let him go on the inside, he'll score a goal. This boy is just becoming a star of the Premier League, and he's just going to carry on doing so. His physicality, his pace, his shooting, everything's getting there. His ball striking is getting better. He's just an incredible player, and it's just so. I don't know about you boys. I do know about you boys, but it's just so exciting to watch every week. Like, I'm so excited to watch the Arse every week. Every week, I'm just sitting down and I'm ready for another great game because our attack wasn't there a few weeks ago and we were still a bit drab the way we were playing. But now it's just, we've all come to life. And it's the confidence you're seeing in every player now. Every player is getting more and more confident in their ability. And you can see it. You can see it on social media, like we talked about Ben White earlier, posting pictures of him pushing Antonio to the floor. Antonio to the floor. Like, everyone's just getting more and more confident, and I'm just loving it. Every game, I'm just looking forward to the next game, and I can't wait to see Saka against City because I don't think they've got a left back for the game either. From the pictures I've saw,
Yeah, Kyle Walker's got COVID.
So Kyle Walker's got COVID. I don't think Cancelo or
John Stones
or what's the Ukrainian guy's name? Zinchenko. They weren't. None of them were in the pictures.
Neither was Stones, mate.
And Mendy's in prison.
Guys, there's one little bit that I wanted to ask you guys because I think this exemplifies Saka. So he's done brilliant moments. I think we can all agree. Look, I've been early on the world class shouts. For me, I've said since last season he's world class. But put that out. We've all seen brilliant moments from Bukayo, right? You know what I loved in this performance, and I was telling Chris earlier as well. There was a moment where Brandon Williams was leaving stuff on Saka. And so people were asking, who is the Isaiah Thomas and the Detroits? Guys, have you met the opposition? They hack Bukayo at every moment. Everyone is Isaiah Thomas and Detroit. Everyone hits him, physically to intimidate him. But you know what I saw in this game? In one of those moments, after Brandon Williams gets into a tough challenge, Bukayo at the other end shoves Brandon Williams down. He gets a free kick, but I don't know if anyone saw in the replay. He has a little stamp, a little petulant stamp on Brandon Williams, and that is moments before.
It was like a little tap.
Hard man. See you later. Go to the chip shop. You're done, mate. And he posted it on Instagram. But for me, that is the big difference from Bukayo. It's that I'm not going to take this shit.
Finally hitting back.
Yeah. It's like, you know what? Okay, so you can hit me, but you know what? I can hit you as well. And for me, that changed, by the way. And when we look at that analogy, I hate to throw the narcissism thing, but I don't hate it. That's the biggest change when you notice MJ and you talk about those documentaries, like that summer after the Pistons when he first loses and he goes in the gym. That for me, becoming a man, that transition is what we're seeing right now. I still think there's a couple other people. Look, Martinelli, you know what's scary? That boy still has to go through that transition. Bukayo's been on the other side of that right now. Emil, for me, he's doing excellent in terms of his physical development, but absolute same thing. Bukayo Saka is not just saying, I'm going to take it right now. He goes, I'm the best player in the league. And you know what? If you guys want to fight, I'll fight. That's fine. We can do both. And, having somebody that's, 6 foot able to leave stuff on people right now and still be one of the silkiest players in the league is a scary prospect.
Yeah, for me, with Saka, obviously, I think he's just, as someone said, demanding the respect now. Because I think, I've said it for a long time, but he's been the second best right wing in the league, and the first best is the best player in the league. So to be the best right wing, he has to be the best player, and he's not that right now. But I feel like for him at 20 to be the second best right wing in the league when you have all the other ones that you have is just testament to what he is. I think his ball striking has been good, especially on dead balls with free kicks and corners. It's definitely improved from last season. I think that's a step he's taken this season. Yeah, his combination play has gotten better with other players that aren't Emil, where he's combining better. Even versus Southampton, Newcastle, he was driving runs and there's 1-2 with Ødegaard quick, and it's improved. His timing's better. I think he's just cleaner now, and I think he's just putting himself about more. He needs to get rid of that soft thing. Even though the players will continue to attack him, he needs to give it back so they're not as prone to doing it. Because I think Mane is probably the winger that does it most, where he hits fullbacks just as much as they hit him, and it moves you away from hitting him. But I feel like Saka, with the numbers now, because he's got 5 GA in the last 4 games, there's nothing you can put to him now. It's the goals are there, the assists are there, the combination is there, and it's not like he's taken away from what he's doing in general play and on the other side of the ball, because defensively he's still doing it. The same people that said he's a left back now say he's one of the best right wingers in the league. There's the same people that are saying we should bench him for Pepe and play him left wing for Pepe, but the same players praising him, not giving Pepe hate, because I do that other times, but this time I'll just prop Saka. I think obviously he started slow, very slow, and that's to do with, even Arteta said it, that he played too much in the summer last season. He was playing every game, and then he finally now in his groove, because he sat out a bit and he's now playing right wing, and he just looks fit again, which is something we haven't seen since early in the year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time to me he's looked like really fit, game in, game
Yeah.
out. And because before he looked so lethargic, even when he did perform, he still looked sick. But with the continuing with the Jordan stuff, he still hasn't done anything against his Boston Celtics, because Jordan really got recognition when he got 63 points versus the Celtics in the playoffs, and I think he needs a big game performance that is versus Liverpool or City to really stamp his authority. That's what I think he needs, along with the other games. But I feel like to really take it to the next level, he needs that big game versus Liverpool, City, or Chelsea, because Foden, what they reference him to is the performances versus United and Liverpool. Like, he's done Liverpool a couple times now, and Saka needs that Liverpool City performance where you say there's no debate who was the best player on the pitch on both sides, and that's what he needs. Everything else he has, I think
he's coming, because, lad, like, when you look at even a couple minutes after that goal, I think there's a corner kick, the big whip, and Thomas Partey has another near post. He screws the header, but I don't know if you guys remember.
He just came onto it too quick. He came onto it. You misread it. It was too low, and I think it came onto him too quickly.
Yeah, he's crouching, and it's a little bit there. But like Bukayo, for me, in all phases of play, just far more direct and purposeful, and he's giving back what he's been given. The only pushback I want to get your boys' thought, because I think in the first half, look, I kind of was, I don't know, I had a different opinion than Willow. I thought Holding struggled. He gave me like 4 different heart attacks. The biggest one happened, I think, on the 30th minute. When Plaqueta, whatever that guy, Bun Boy, that got done kind of in the second half. He turns Holding, who goes to ground wide, and he did that twice before the 30th minute. But there was a big one in the 30th minute, and releases him 1v1 versus the keeper. Yeah, and like Ramsdale does really, really well. But I felt that, Holding. Look, we know what we get with Holding, but for me, he was one of the players that I think struggled along with Granit. I wanted to know what your guys' thoughts, like, what is the difference now in this squad? Is it just, because we can hide that Holding mistake because he had it, right? Like, he has his Sterling moment. He's going to give the opposition a 1v1. It's just his quality, right? What makes you guys think that we're able to kind of be okay with that? I actually felt having Ben White on the outside helped him. It's something that he hasn't had because he's got really good pace on the outside. So generally, when he did bite and he had those loose screwball moments, because Holding, look, lad, like, he's not composed. He needs to search for the ball. He's the kind of person that needs the fight. Otherwise, he doesn't play well. And so he goes to search for it. And when he does go to search for it, he's really poor. He vacates his zone and, he goes to ground and he wants a little bit of a tussle. But I think Ben, it suits him because he's more of a recovery person. So having somebody opposite him who's able to push high, his natural instinct is to receive in space. And so it was a really good dynamic, I think, that kind of limited, even though you had those 1v1 hairy moments. I don't know, maybe I'm being harsh. I don't know what you guys felt. I just felt like first half Holding had it rough. There were like 3 times where I was like, mate, stop. You're pulling a Cedric aneurysm in my brain right now. Just calm down, pass it out wide or pass it through the center. We don't need to do the Hollywood go to ground. I just felt he did that like 3 times. What did you guys think on Rob?
I think for me,
go on.
With Norwich, I think their best player was probably Plaqueta, and anytime he did well or got the shot off, he engaged Holding and either spun him or Holding gave him too much space and forced Ramsdale to make the save. There was that thing in the 31st minute where Ramsdale had to make the save down low, and Holding obviously I can't criticize him too much because of the way we played. So
it's harsh on a 5-0, isn't it? I know.
Yeah, I think the centre backs were probably the worst players on the pitch. Him and Gabriel were probably our worst players on the pitch. Not saying they were even bad, but they just weren't as good as everybody else. I think on the ball he was okay. I think they didn't press. Or Pukki pressed. They didn't press as a unit. So the players in behind Pukki gave him space to find passes, and so it didn't cause him as much problem. But he will always give you an issue each game because he needs to engage with someone. And when he gets those Lukaku's and the Antonios, the Diego Costas, who want the fight as well, it suits him and he does well against them all the time. But when he has those little Sterlings and these false nines that don't want you near them, they just want to play around you and pass around you or dribble around you. That's when he gets the issues. And like he has them moments where he'll hit a small man and then give a free kick away on the edge of the box or something, or just let them in. So I'm not sure he was like it's anything to note, but I just think he does it anyways. Like what he did versus Norwich wasn't anything new to me. That's what I thought it was just holding. Like,
exactly. That's what I took away from it. Was just holding. And the one thing I will say is, our line was very high this game. We were pushing up and pushing up and pushing up, and I was so happy to see it. I was so happy to see Gabriel being able to, who I will say this, I think got a lot of overhate for this game. I think that there was a lot of people coming out and saying, I can't unsee this. This is so mad. I can't. Nicholas Pepe vibes. Like, come on, guys. This is. I think when you have a centre backs is one of the most important positions to have a partnership in. You need balance. You need the ability to players to play their role. Gabriel today was more of the progressor. We can all agree to that. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he had more reins on. He had more control on the ball.
Yeah, so he doesn't really do that, and he is your physical defender. He is your leader. He's your dual monster. He's someone that will lead and organize your back line. And with Holding today, I would have thought like it feels like they've had this in the past. I don't feel like Gabriel and Holding has ever been a very balanced defensive back line in terms of just being a partnership. I don't really want to go like crazy on Holding. He had an okay game. He was Rob Holding, as CK said. I want to talk about the goals though, because George had mentioned the Tierney goal, obviously the Saka goal. Before we move into the second half, which one of the goals do you take a goal each, guys? Pick a goal and analyze it. So
I think we broke down the first one pretty well, to be honest with you. The big thing that I wanted to transition was basically Kieran. I'll probably give the floor to Chris on
give it to Chris
breakdown, because I think for me, I just wanted to say it underscored Tierney's half. That's all I'll say. Because for me, he makes the first goal. He was really underrated in the amount of duels that he was winning. And while Gabriel was struggling to progress the ball, Tierney was constantly available, and he wasn't bombing on as much. He was very particular about when he would go up and down. And I felt like that moment when to press and when not to step out was something that Kieran did struggle with last season. I think he also had a similar bomb all the time. But this game for me was really underrated, and it exemplified in the goal. But I'll give it to Christina to break down.
Okay, thank you for that, Gina. I think with his goal, I think Martinelli really made the goal because we didn't have the ball and he just burst from centrally out to the wing and won the ball back, where no one else in our team would do that, like, or even have the pace to be able to do it. So he did that. He won the ball back. That energy he's shown us a couple times versus West Ham, Southampton. He does it. So the energy one was really what. I think energy really is a great word for the goal, because once he got it back, he gives it to Ødegaard, and Tierney, another late run from deep, like these late runs arriving into the box, and Ødegaard finds him with the space, and then it was a very good first touch to keep it so that it's central enough that the keeper can't commit one way, but good enough that the defender couldn't slide or just take it from him. So the first touch is great, and then the ball striking to put it posting in where no keeper in the world could get their hand on it was great. Like, his ball striking is very underrated, underappreciated, because a lot of the time he's not central enough to take those shots. And whenever he does find him central, like versus Benfica, for example, he finds the corner very easily. Like even West Brom, like with his goals. So I think ball striking and energy are the two words I'd use to really sum up that goal, because the runs from Martinelli and Tierney really made the goal. Obviously, someone has to make the pass that Ødegaard did, and it was good enough for Tierney to take the first touch without it being too heavy or too light. So kudos to him, but I think the energy from Martinelli, who really made the goal, if we're being fair, like, he deserved the props for getting the goal. and then Tierney with a great finish.
With the rotation to be on the right too. Like this team is understanding finally the positional play rotations, and they're not limited. People called it rigid. I called it them learning their craft. And Martinelli pops up on the right, and look, he finds Odegaard in space. He's in great pocket. But the one thing I will urge and I will say, once again, that's the big key. Odegaard is in space. Paqueta is nowhere to be found. He receives, and the one thing I really liked is, Odegaard, he went back, but he was at least very vertical with his passing. And the one moment he became really, really vertical, it resulted in the Kieran Tierney chance and goal. The one thing I wonder is if with a little bit more confidence in his stride, he plays the ball behind that fullback instead of in front. If you guys look back at the goal, it's still in between that channel and space to Kieran. But I would prefer the real killer pass is behind that last defender, actually threading the ball through the last line. That's the Ozil pass. He still did really well to find him between the lines, and Kieran, I think, does really well on the first touch to get himself in space. But he could have just played him in space and had one shot, bam. You didn't even need the first touch. And I think that's just the transition that this team's doing, where he receives in space, great, and he plays the ball into space, which is excellent. I just think if you angle that 5 or so degrees behind, you play that in behind the last. Yeah, like Kieran just has to run on, shoot, and it's a goal. We don't have to waste the one touch. And I think that's like the one thing that we're gonna see with this team moving forward. And I don't know, last little bit of meat that maybe I'll give to Willow is Partey. We talked all about this half. For me, best player of that half. And ironic because being a lone six, it was his best performance since the 4-3-3 last season. In that kind of more deeper six role. What did you feel about his performance, mate? Because I feel like you can't talk about this game and not mention Thomas Partey, who for me put in one of his individual best performances of the season.
I don't think he lost a second ball, did he? Or 50-50. It's just he was a hoover. Every second ball just picked up, got it. They didn't press him, which was really weird. I don't know if it's because they've watched Thomas Partey this season and thought maybe he hasn't played that well, but that really punished him because he was picking out a lot of nice killer passes. That one into Martinelli, he rolled forward because they didn't pick him up. It was a really simple pass, but he made it look really easy. He was just really, really good. It was just efficient, simple. Second balls, everything was just won, and he just killed them the whole game. He was just progressing the ball as well, bringing it forward. It generally, as you said, it was one of Partey's best games for us in an Arsenal shirt.
But mate, you know what I'm fearful of, and I don't look, guys. Maybe I'm being a sourpuss because I've done this in the last 2 games, but I've really felt the opposition. Look, we did well to do what we did, but the opposition have been so naive and stupid to not press Partey like that, but also they weren't pressing Odegaard in the half spaces. Paqueta was never near Odegaard, and it wasn't just that Odegaard was like moving. He was in his normal right half space, and there was no one pressuring him in the ball. There was no one meeting him kind of on the back. Same thing with Partey. Pukki was pressing Ramsdale, who we know can play through lines, and Partey was receiving in space constantly. Now, of course, you got to run the game, and the way, in the manner he did is why I think, I wanted to praise him. But at the same token, Thomas Partey was in 5 acres of space, almost 10 meters circumference the entire game. Like, he was totally in space. And if you give that boy time and space, he's a world-class player on the ball. And off it, he is as well. But, like, on the ball, you give him time and space, this boy runs the show. I just felt it was so
He wasn't
naive.
dispossessed once.
Yeah.
No.
But at the same token, do you guys remember a time when he was actually pressed?
No,
not really, no.
Which is the issue. Like, he wasn't dispossessed once. I think he lost 1 or 2 doors out of like 7.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't really like try to disrupt his game, which is dumb for them. Obviously they had a couple injuries. Like,
I want to be fair, mate, because they had worse than us in terms of Brentford. And for me, that's what I've talked about, spacing in the team. And people don't understand their roles, because Dean Smith's been a very compact game. And I did predict a very tough game beforehand because I felt that Dean Smith had done a really good job. But when you lose your technical leaders in every third of the pitch, the spacing within that kind of midfield is always disjointed. We've seen it with us, lads. Like when we also lost our technical leaders, we lost that spacing.
Yeah, like it wasn't good. Like with Norwich, obviously, I felt we would do well regardless, but I think the injuries definitely didn't help them at all. I feel like their left hand side was poor than it is normally. Paqueta doesn't generally start. Maybe that's what it is, but Like they didn't press Saka well. Saka was 1v1 a lot actually, even when most teams double up, which they did, he was 1v1 a lot more than we saw versus Leeds or West Ham, for example.
Norman would stick it on Odegaard. That's a
Yeah, he would.
Cruel
He definitely
would
would.
step up the line. That was so deep. And Pookie wouldn't be given the only pressing trigger on Partey. You would essentially have Gilmore a little bit higher up because Norman's deeper to press on Odegaard. There were some spacing issues, and I just felt like while we praised adequately, I did feel like Norwich were stupidly naive to the point of I don't know why their manager did that. We're not going to receive that in other games. So just don't. I would look at this game in isolation because I really feel it's not representative of what an away day is. Even though we broke our
and
tackle,
Kabak was right centre back instead of left because of Hanley was injured. So they weren't missing a lot of players, but still
Kabak wasn't fit as well. In my opinion, you could tell that boy was like breathing.
He's played every game in a row for no break since like November or something.
Yeah. I do want to move on to the second half though, because there's a lot of goals to cover, and there's quite a few talking points as well. So initial thoughts on the second half, lads?
I think it was not as much domination in general play.
It was worse than the first significantly. We were really poor for almost 20 minutes, lads.
We were really efficient.
I think obviously the goal in like the 65th minute or something just settled the game and then made it like a nothing game, and then it was just goals in the end. But I feel like we needed the goals, the way they came. Like obviously a pen, which is just a poor tackle from Kabak, which he just didn't need to do, and then we needed the fresh legs to come on the pitch. Do you guys think his subs were good, or just it didn't matter?
No, I think the subs were good because we were heading down a dangerous path in the first 15 minutes for me, almost to 20 minutes of that half. I think, there's a period, I think, after they pinch the ball and Partey gets lost in the middle. Do you guys remember that? He kind of gets a yellow card for, that central overload. And it's because they had a high line that pinched us. And then 2 minutes later, they have a lovely switch. I forget who's wide left, but I think it's McLean, who does like a left footer outside of the boot, cross-field one-time ball, and they try it turns into nothing. It's a really poor shot on goal.
It was Plaqueta to Gilmore, and he took a shot and holding
Gilmore. I thought it was McLean, first-time ball, the volley from wide.
Plaqueta to hit the ball, and then Gilmore took a shot and Holden blocked it.
No, it wasn't blocked. It was kind of like, I think around the 62 minutes. I think it was McLean. I'll be honest with you, who had a volley off that hit. It was right after Partey's yellow card. And for me, that kind of signified, look, we needed to change it. And I think that the subs absolutely had to change the game because at that point, Norwich were a lot more compact. They were higher in their line. They were more aggressive. Laka was dropping deep, and he was being followed. In the first half, he wasn't being followed. There was massive space in midfield. And yeah, like Joshua, you're right. Like I'm basically saying Norwich tax, but there was more than just Norwich tax. There was injury tax to that as well, because I don't think they were structure-wise, they were horrendous. And then in the second half, they really picked it up. They were a lot tighter. And I do think, lads, like we had a very poor first 20 minutes of that second half. And I think the subs did very, very well to change the tide. Because we were just, again, very efficient, kind of like Leeds, where we did struggle after a 10 or 15 minute period. We became hyper efficient in our transitions, and we basically started to get a goal, and then the subs came, and it was open season.
Yeah.
But that first 20 minutes was poor from us. I felt like we were getting complacent in a sense, because Norwich definitely tightened up the ship. You could tell Dean Smith had a word because the spacing was a lot better.
And Gilmore was on the ball a bit more, actually. If I really think about it, like
I think he got overhated this game. I think there was a lot of things for him to do, and I think the Norwich fans were very, very harsh to him because when you're playing
it's almost as if they forgot that they don't have Sorensen and Norman in their midfield anymore. It's like they forgot.
And they're playing us in who's just come off 3 wins in the bounce. It's just like, come on.
It's what comes with it. They lost two of the that make up their 4-3-3. And Gilmore generally is at the base and has his foot on the ball a lot more. I think because they played United so recently and performed very well against them, actually, I just feel like they expected a lot more, which I don't know why. But
Chris, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't even the subs, it was Saka. When you think about it, because he scores in the 67th minute, right?
yeah, he does.
And it is completely, again, this is where I struggle because Lacazette gets the assist. Odegaard does a really nice,
He had to do
outside
was
the
find
heel
Saka.
pass. Yeah, it's not an assist, right? Because
Yeah.
Laka takes it wide, but then Bukayo just stands him up. Twist. It's such a beautiful goals, lads. Like for me, that was the pick of the bunch of the 5. That one, that shift shimmy, he turns Brandon Williams inside out, and then boom, bottom corner.
It's a
And for
lovely,
me,
lovely goal. Saka
yeah,
second.
it was incredible. And for me, it was absolutely the changing point in the game, because I felt like the first 15,
We were
17
shaky,
minutes or
definitely.
whatever,
Yeah.
it was against the run of play, in my opinion, which is maybe harsh to say, but I think Norwich were the aggressors. I think possession was equal, but they were definitely gaining more territory. Partey had that yellow card. I was like, oh God. McLean had that, chance outside of the boot. And then Bukayo, 67th minute.
Just settled the nerves, I feel. I feel like we were going through the motions a bit and just thinking, okay, we're going to be Arsenal. We're going to pick up a couple of fouls and just sort of be a bit shaky. And then Bukayo just went, step aside, lads.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut inside and do my thing. And it was
And
a
Martinelli
really good
has
goal.
that offside goal very shortly after that. And that's when we start to really gain the momentum again.
Yeah.
And I think it was Bukayo getting us out of jail in a sense there, because I think that goes on for another 10 minutes. We're in a very sticky situation at Carrow Road.
Yeah, they even had a chance in the 74th, I think, where Pukki could have went 1-on-1. And
Yeah.
He just messed it up. So they still had their chances, like to make it a game or to like change the atmosphere in the stadium, but they just didn't take their chances. Like they didn't, because even with all the injuries, like the way they got the chances they got, they just messed it up. It's not an injury thing. Like that Pukki chance, he shouldn't mess it up. That's just Pukki alone. The Plaqueta chances where he just scuffed the shots and Ramsdale saved them. That's just the player himself messing up. So they didn't take advantage of us just being complacent. But we're gonna have those periods, and then our players, Saka, of course, did his thing to get the goal, and then we got the pen, which was Kabak just didn't need to do that at all.
I don't know what he was thinking. It was such a funny pen.
Laka was
not doing anything.
He was not going to beat him on the half turn. So just let him receive it. Don't
exactly.
You didn't need to hit him. Like obviously it's a smart pass from Emil to get them 1-on-1, but it's just naive.
But it's Kabak though. That's Kabak. He's super
naive.
aggressive.
Yeah, it was so naive to hit him, and then give us the pen. And finally, we score a pen this season. It's our first one in 4. And it came away from home. The other 3 came at home. Finally, we scored a pen, and then Emil scores.
Emil, man,
back post.
He's inevitable. I love it. He's actually inevitable. Like he doesn't matter. Like
he has, I think,
that
4
finish.
goals.
That finisher role. It doesn't matter if he's starting or if he's coming on in that finisher role.
Yeah, I've even been saying it to George, but obviously him playing. It looks like he's not losing anything for his numbers. I think he's scoring every game. He's coming off the bench. I think so. It's very good. But I think in general play, he does a lot less than he could because he's not starting. So he won't get assist numbers. But I think him coming off the bench and scoring is good.
There's not made enough about his little cameo because for me, it was absolutely incredible. You're talking about when he first comes on, the centrality he provides. We were talking about it, Chris, earlier, where it was the best I've seen him since Brentford centrally. And his kind of his combination play with everybody was a lot better centrally. When we're looking at the pass and move, he does a beautiful reverse pass to Lacazette in the 82nd minute. Laka
it was a beautiful
screws it up.
Oh.
You guys remember he picks it up central, does a give and go, and then does a beautiful reverse pass because I thought Emil has no final ball. And it was a beautiful reverse pass. And I'm just thinking, and then a couple minutes later, he does the nutmeg, kind of spin move that, Martinelli did a couple games ago. And you can just see the confidence building. This boy, he's bubbling. He's bubbling.
He's better than Havertz.
Yeah, I think he's ready. We're
I'm
gonna
so
ignore
happy
that.
the way he scored the goal because it's just movement. Like he's just
Yeah.
waiting. He was waiting. Obviously, Pepe does well to sort of create the chance. The defender blocks it, and then he
But
just waiting.
he makes Kabak rash. Like, guys, we're talking like I know we definitely talked about Kabak being rash, but that's all Emile and his probing.
Yeah, that pass was very like inciting. It was telling him you have to. Obviously, other players would have the presence of mind to know Lacazette isn't gonna harm me with his back to goal right there. That with his back to goal right there, he's not doing anything, especially when you're faster than him to really harm me. So, but he still hits him. Like it's very naive and he's very rash. But obviously, that the pass and Lacazette staying strong was good. Like it was necessary. Like you need.
And guys, we scored a penalty. Look at that. We can improve.
1-4, brother.
It's the I thought he was gonna go left because he missed right.
Yeah.
But we finally scored, and we needed it because if he missed, it means next game Martinelli would take one. Because I think at that point we maybe had a curse, but maybe it's just at the Emirates we can't score pens because that was our first one away from home and we finally scored it. And then Emile obviously scores back post 5-0. I was very happy because Curran predicted 4-0.
My favorite, by the way, guys, clip it, look at it because it's a rare moment. Odegaard's best moment was that 5th goal. He receives in space. Yeah, that reverse pass for Pepe.
Man. I was so conflicted.
It was incredible.
Curran was watching that VAR thinking, please call it offside. Please call it offside.
No. You know what it was? You know what? I'll tell you what actually happened, right? I saw it go in. I'm like, yes. And then I remember CK's face and I'm just like, no, I don't know.
I predicted it 4-0, yes. No, not 4-0, 3-0.
Yeah.
So when I saw the pen, I was like, you might miss it.
I messaged you. I was 3-0 as well. I was like, Christina, we could chill here, eh?
Yeah. I was like, he's gonna miss.
The thing is, before the Norwich preview, right? I don't know if you guys remember. Before the Norwich preview, I said 3-1. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And then we came online. I was like, on the live. I was just listening to the boys, listening to myself, and thinking, you know what? I'm not being ambitious enough. 4-0 is on here. And I remember Pepe putting that ball into Emile. I'm just thinking, yes, no, yes.
It's like honestly, these predictions have given me like this presence of mind where I'm always thinking about them. Especially like in the stadium, like so Villa was the weirdest one because Villa, I was sitting there in the stadium at 3-0 thinking, obviously 3-0 was incredible, but like someone just scored a jammy goal or something.
Wow.
Look, I'm not gonna lie though, lads. Like the biggest thing for me is because look, I do give him a lot of trouble, but for me, why I love that Odegaard chance, lads, is because he receives in space and he was doing it all game. Okay, he was receiving in space, but he was aggressive, and when he cut in, he drew 3 players in and then released the pass. It was a very calculated pass. It was phenomenal, very impotent in the final third, and for me, he doesn't do it enough. Like, what frustrates the hell out of me about Odegaard is people confuse me saying, I don't rate him or he's shit. It's never that. I think he's very good technically. I recognize the limits, but for me, what frustrates the hell out of me is because there's so much technical potential there that he doesn't do it enough. And when he does things like that, they always result in a goal. And if he was to do what he did in that goal, so he receives and he attacks, and his first thought is I'm going. His first thought isn't I'll pass sideways, because by the way, Granite is open. You know, or El Neni, I think, is beside him.
No, it is Granite. It's Granite.
Is it Granite at that point?
Granite. Yeah.
Okay, because he could do that. He could pass sideways, but he goes, nah, I'm not having that. I'm going forward. And for me, that was the best part of his individual match, even though it came at the end. And another thing, I think he looks fit, lads. I know there was a couple times, for me at least, I was the one saying I don't think he looked fit. But I feel like after these 90 minutes, he kept going. He had some impetus, and even there was a good ball striking in his free kick in the 88th minute. So I just felt like, okay, there's something there again. And, you know, he hasn't been that, active for me well later into the match. He always gassed at around 60 minutes where, even for Odegaard, who I criticize it physically, he doesn't do that, right? Like, I think, Chris, we were saying that earlier in other previews. Like, we give him a hard time, but he doesn't gas at 60 minutes.
Never, even though he's kind of slow, he's never gassed. That's why West Ham was weird for me. That something had to be wrong. Because that was the first time I ever seen him like that.
But
just quick
amazing goal, and also Pepe had another good cameo. Whisper it like he
we
was.
Need it. We need it.
We do. We do. Okay, prime number, square root of X.
Let me just quickly just.
Sorry to cut you off, Karen. You can with Pepe. I think you need it just because we still have cups. That we've got 3 cup games in January, so you need.
And he's gone for them because he's at AFCON too.
Oh my, he is.
So
can't even do the cameos, man.
We've played all the AFCON boys bar Oba into form.
You know, I'm just gonna quickly just because
even El Neni looked good in his little cameo.
I did. I'm just gonna because on the rewatch for Norwich, I was looking especially that second half from Ødegaard, and there were 3 things I noticed. One, man's not under hitting his passes as much. His passes are going at nice pace. He's zipping them off the floor. And he's not going trying to be safe. He's hitting them with pace, with venom. It's not Man United trying to zip them into players to try and make them miscontrol it. It's a good pace.
Yeah.
And second thing is he wasn't going into that early second phase as anywhere near as much as when he used to piss me off. Like he was very much staying high, central, right? When he goes right, no man on earth can piss me off more than Ødegaard in that right half space. No, there's no, because the thing is, he just blocked Kyle. Like Kyle can't make his second goal if Martin's not central, because he needs that space to cut and hit, and he was central. He was making good runs off the ball. Was the third thing I was going to say. He was arriving at the correct times in terms of getting into the box, making those third man runs. These were all very, very good from him. And
instead of running into trouble, he drew trouble.
Exactly.
So what I mean by that, instead of like following his pass and being protecting his passing stats, right? He made a conscious effort to draw markers into him and then release the ball. That for me has been the biggest trouble, because either he doesn't know when to release it or he always follows his pass and he kind of plays in the same plane. And so for me, I need him to switch. And yeah, he definitely, for me, something changed, whether it was physical, because I do think there was a fitness issue, but I also think there was a little bit of a mental thing, because he chose to really attack a lot more this game. He was much more direct.
Not just this game though, like in
games.
Period of success, he hasn't had a game with 90% pass accuracy.
Yep.
Like before. This was his highest with 86, but he hasn't. Every game before he was getting like these 93, 92. Like there was a minimal risk to his game. And
if you have a lefty that has no righty and cannot overlap, the one thing that you must make that boy do is play vertically, or secondly, release quick. Those are the 2 things that you have to do, because you can't overlap. You limit what you can do. And for me, he's been doing the latter a lot more, and that's why we're seeing him thrive a little bit more. Like I said, I think the next steps are him doing a lot more of that 5th goal, but also on Kieran Tierney's goal, let's play the pass 5 to 10 degrees to the right. Let's play it behind the defender, not in front of him.
That's risk. He needs to take. Yeah. He needs to take more risk with his. He's taking more risk, which is
this is what I was saying about his passing speed as well. He looks like he's actually trying to. He's looked like he's not trying to play the safe ball. He looks like he's trying to take that next step in his game, which is to take risks.
There was a big confidence issue with him. I'm going to be real. There was a huge confidence coming off the back of that failed Real Madrid move. Even though he wanted to come to us, there was definitely a certain ego hit. Because when you watch him for Sociedad, he's nowhere near as tentative as he is here.
Yeah, he always takes impetus. Even for Norway over the years, it took for him to get the armband to finally take responsibility and impetus.
Do you know how traumatized I am? I thought you were going to say Norwich for a second.
No. For Norway.
That's how traumatized this man has made me. I can't.
For Norway, though.
I can't deal with it.
You can even look
lads, you know what? They were smart. Look, Ødegaard, great game. I definitely want to probably tie it up. Who do you guys think is the man of the match? I'm still giving it to Bukayo.
There's no debate.
For me.
For me, there's no debate.
There's no debate, but I just want to touch on Martinelli a bit more. I don't think he got talked about enough in this pod. For that second goal, Ødegaard was very poor when he ran forward there, didn't do much with the ball. Everyone was kind of walking back when Ødegaard lost that ball. Martinelli sprinting from about, 20, 30, 40 yards away, sprinting, closing it down, picking up that ball. He's the reason, George spoke about the first goal and how Kieran Tierney was the reason for that goal. Martinelli is that full reason for that goal. He stops a Norwich counter-attack and gets us to score that goal. Not just that, his technical ability has gone up so much. There was a ball that came down from 10, 20 yards in the air. He had two defenders on it and he just plucked it out the air like it was nothing and brought it down and carried on the play. Every time he's getting the ball, he's getting more and more technically better. His touches are getting more and more closer to control. I mean, he still runs with his head down, but that's just his running technique. That's what he's going to do. But he is just getting better and better, Martinelli. Again, dangerous, cutting in all the time, causing problems to, people said about getting Max Aarons in the summer. Jesus Christ, Max Aarons isn't going to recover from this Martinelli performance. He was running him down the whole time. He could have had another goal. Sadly, he was a bit offside, but another brilliant performance from Martinelli. And I don't even think it was nearly as good as some of his other performances.
And he didn't stay on the left, mate. He's like that whole second goal that you're talking, that's all on the right.
Yeah.
He did.
So he definitely he's I think the team is understanding their rotations a lot more. I think at first they were like, I don't want to get out of position, so I understand where I need to be. Now it's becoming more second nature. And it's like, okay, if I go there, then I know my second ball is filling in my position and I can drift. I think there's that's not coincidence for me. When you have a pivot behind you and a structure behind you that you rely on them cleaning the second balls, you feel comfortable taking those risks. A lot of attack is risk-taking. In fact, when you look at Pep and, you look at these attacking patterns, it's very rare that they have set patterns once they're in the final third in the box. A lot of it is creative, fluid movement and rotations, and they have very much to get you there. But beyond that point, as, Pep's always said in that famous quote with Thierry Henry, my job is to get you to the final third. The rest is up to you. And there's a lot more fluidity that this team can do. And lads, I don't know about you, but look, Bukayo, man of the match for me, 5-0.
Not even close.
This is the second away win where we've won in a row. That hasn't happened all season. That's a narrative to break. A big 5-0 is nothing to gloss over. Yeah. And that's 4 wins on the bounce. Again, there's not been a team other than City this season to do 5 wins on the bounce. And so too bad that Norwich got postponed because I think we could have done that. I don't know. I was just very happy because I actually felt this was the first time too we used the subs to take off tired legs. When was the last time we were afforded the luxury to do something like that?
Yeah, it was good.
It was just phenomenal. We protected Partey, we protected Saka. You love to see it.
I'm going to add to the Martinelli prop. He had the most tackles on the pitch and the most won the most duels. He won nine duels, so he won the most on the pitch. I think it was probably it's probably his best performance off the ball.
Right. So here's what we're gonna do, lads. Here's what we're gonna do.
And then
I'm gonna do my final thoughts. So we're gonna go Willow, CK, George, and then you can do your thing when you're finished. We good? All right. So final thoughts from me. I'm happy. I'm very happy in terms of what I saw from the pitch, in terms of game management and not letting up and making sure that the main improvement for me has been our second balls. I feel like we're winning a lot more second balls. I feel like the pressing is more varied and you can play in both man-to-man once only in terms of your press. I feel like there's a lot of people getting confidence at the right time. I feel like there is a lot of things happening right now where you can say, look, there's something building here. There's nothing to get cocky about. But I don't know if anyone else read the Granite interview in The Athletic, but him and the team have realized, look, the season is only halfway done, and we want to do something special this season. And I really feel like we can. So for me, in terms of stand-up performances, obviously Saka. I think Tierney has not been given anywhere near enough credit on the timeline that he should have been given. I don't feel like Ramsdale did anything, so I can't really say like he was amazing. I think he was great under pressure. In terms of our first phase build-up, there were times when Norwich tried him and he just went, "Screw you guys, I'm just passing through you." I think he did well. I liked what White did. I liked what Partey did. I do like Saka. I think he's getting back into his bag, into his left hand side 8 bag. So a lot of promising performances. I do want to see Emil start next game against City, but we'll get into that when we do the City preview. But for me, I think that's all I have to say. Willow, CK, and then George. Go for it, buddy.
Well, all I'm going to say is, look, we look at these runner games: 2-0 West Ham, 3-0 Southampton, 5-0 Norwich, 4-1 Leeds. But it's only, people keep on underestimating. Oh, there are these small teams. Oh, you should be doing this. Tottenham drew 1-1 today against Southampton. We won 2-0 against Newcastle. Man, you struggled against Newcastle. Should have lost against Newcastle. Everyone keeps on downplaying what we're doing this season. And, personally, I didn't think we'd get top 4 at the start of the season. I'm still not sure. But I think we need to stop being so downplayed all the damn time, because we are playing some really, really nice football. We are outplaying the small teams, which other people aren't doing. West Ham beat Liverpool 3-2. They beat, again, today, Leicester just won against Liverpool. We beat Leicester easily. I think people need to start respecting what we're doing this season. We are a different football club and we are moving towards better things. And I think, if we can push and get top 4 this season and we get the right players in, fuck me, we're going to be a force, because we have one of the most exciting projects at the moment. Honestly, I even though I'm an Arsenal fan, I look around at the moment, look how young our team is. Look at the back line. Not one of them is over 24 years of age. And we've got one of the most talented centre-backs in Europe on loan at the moment, coming back for next season. Our front 4, the 3 in the middle, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Saka, they're all so young. Ødegaard, so young. We've got one of the most exciting projects at the moment, and I'm just loving the football, and I cannot wait for the next game. This is, Man City is going to be a very tough game to face, but I'm excited. I'm excited for every game as an Arsenal fan nowadays, and I hope most Arsenal fans are starting to feel that as well.
CK, have you got the predictions by any chance? Or no?
Like the picture of them, no. I know them off by heart though.
But yeah, you go for final thoughts, and if you want to sort out the predictions, go for it.
The table, innit?
Yeah, no, we can do that. We can do that for the City preview. It's not that big a deal.
Can I have games in hand for that?
No.
You just gotta go back and predict the actual scoreline.
Yeah, give me a few friendlies for the season.
Yeah, but obviously Emil 8 goals now. I just wanted to praise that Emil 8 goals. There's only 2 guys in the league who have more non-penalty goals than Emil this season, and that's Jota and Salah, and they play for the same team. Jota and Emil are the only ones with 100% non-penalty goals in the league. I think it's Emil, then Saka, then Ødegaard, then Martinelli for our most GA on our team, and they're all under 23. I think it's a big positive, the 5-0. Obviously, Wenger never did that away from home. Just want to keep saying that. Wenger never did that away from home in the Prem. So it's a big record, because with records come narrative, and that narrative praise is good for the players because they're always on socials. You see the Saka posting more on socials, Ben White, that they're seeing the praise they're getting, and it's positive. Obviously, the next game is you're playing the best team in the world, so we need all the momentum we can get. We'll talk about that on Friday, I think. Yeah, we're winning our games. We have one game in hand, which I didn't want to have in hand, but the way it's gone, I think to have more time for City may be a good thing. And yeah, that was 6 points off the top 3, and second and
top 2.
Oh, sheesh, yeah, top 2. You guys are talking to me about top 2 anyways.
Shameless. Absolutely shameless.
Anyways, I think we're going places. I think the players are going to hit numbers that they never hit before, and maybe even exceed their own expectations with the numbers that they'll probably hit. And then it's on to Man City, because we're, as the title says, ending the year in top 4. But yeah.
Look, lads, final thoughts are this is amazing. You basically, when you win 5-0, it's not a score line to scoff at. Regardless of who the opposition is, regardless of the injuries, the Norwich tax, whatever you want to do. We haven't done that since 2009. We haven't got 5 wins on the bounce that convincingly since before Emery. Even in our amazing 18-game winning run, we weren't this convincing over a 5-game period consecutively. That just wasn't the case. We're deserving where we are, and I think everyone wants to keep asking me, George, Chris, lads, where do you guys think are we top 4? Lads, we've been here since the summer before a ball was kicked. Okay, so everyone keep asking me like, where do you guys think we are? It hasn't changed, but the one thing I'll just say is keep the tide going. No game or isolated metric is going to get this team top 4. It's going to be consistency outside the top 6. For all of our little tidbits about who's going to get what at City, you're going to have to wait till Friday. There are some changes that I would do. There are some things I would do because we are facing the best team in the world. I don't think, Christina said that lightly. I do believe it. They're the best team in the world by far. They're in very scary form. But at the same token, we are in scary form. And that transition of believing that we can do something this season has to be a fan narrative shift as much as a culture shift that everyone likes to praise Mikel for doing. I think the fans should drink some of the Kool-Aid that Mikel's serving because it's good, it's delicious, and we're here near top 4. And I really think that this team can do something. So look, I'm going to do my robot thing. So make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. You hit that bell for notifications. You can find us at BoP Footy on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at GeorgeV_AFC. Willow, mate, where can they find you?
The one Willow, baby.
There we go. And Curran, mate, where can they find you?
You can find me at Curran BOP as always.
And Christina, where can they find you, mate?
They can find me at Pure CKK on Twitter.
Awesome. All right, lads, we're going to probably catch you guys on Friday, he says
Probably.
in confused voices, but probably. Don't worry, we'll send you a promo.
We'll
it'll probably be Friday around 8 p.m. So thanks again for sticking with us. Guys, please share this stuff. We're looking towards a lot more content for you guys, just some stuff to sneak and preview. We're looking to up the video quality. We're looking to up the animations, do a little bit of tactical Tuesdays, a little bit of a coach's corner. Here in Canada, we have that at hockey, a very famous man, Don Cherry. Looks like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, really, erratic old man. But you know what? We can have our own version here. And, we're looking forward to bringing you guys new content. But in order to do that, we just got to up the engagement. Make sure you subscribe. Share it to everybody, all your friends, families. BOP to the moon. Definitely to 1K first, though. So thanks again for the journey, and we'll see you on Friday. All right, peace, lads.
Peace.